What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Johnstone podcast. It's been a long time, about almost exactly a year since I put out episode 12. A lot has changed. I'm back now. The podcast is still the how do you become a veteran when life always puts you in the rookie position. So every time you get a new job, every time you're on a team or you're training, or honestly, even if you're meeting new people or hanging out with a new group or networking or anything like that, you're always going to start in that rookie position. And the point of this podcast is how do you learn from other people, and how do you take what you've learned and apply that in order for you to grow as a person, grow as a professional, and go from that rookie level all the way to the veteran level. And I always like to say rookie and veteran just because of my football background. But again, thank you guys so much for sticking with me. I know it's been a long time since the last one. First things first, I'm not with Podcast One anymore. We did 12 episodes in LA, in Hollywood with Podcast One, and it was awesome. They're the ones that really got the ball rolling for me, so I appreciate the opportunity that they gave for me. But what's changed is now that I'm no longer with them, I'm on my own. And we'll start with the negatives from that. So first off, you don't have the professional. Again, now I'm a rookie at video editing. Now I'm a rookie at podcasting, really, because I don't have that help that I had when I was with Podcast One. But that's not going to deter me. I want to be podcasting. I want to be talking to y'all, and really just continuing what I like to do, and that's talking, that's inspiring, that's motivating. And so again, I miss my boy Steve. Steve was my producer at Podcast One, and his job was to make it sound good, make me sound good, and kind of drive the conversation. And now I'm going to be doing that on my own. So shout out Steve DeLameter. He actually has been texting me since we finished our time together, encouraging me to continue on my own, because he saw something in me to continue the podcast and continue reaching out to you guys. And again, Steve, if you're watching this, I appreciate that. To the positives, though, now that I am on my own, I can be on my own schedule. So now here I am. I'm in my house. I'm in Arizona now, not in California. The best part, though, is I can do whatever I want to do with this podcast now. I don't have to listen to somebody way higher up that I've never even met before saying I can't do certain things. So now the new things on this podcast are going to be YouTube videos. So I'm going to be able to record every single conversation I have with whoever it is I talk to that week. And I'm still going to be trying to put out weekly episodes from this point forward. So you have a lot to look forward to. And I'm going to record every conversation. So y'all can watch it. You can be a part of it. Make sure on that note to go to the YouTube channel, like, subscribe. I'll be giving that information here at the end of the video and the end of the podcast. The toughest thing I think that's going to be for me doing it on my own is just kind of the knowledge now. So I'm learning how to edit videos. I'm learning how to edit audio and just give you guys the highest quality product that I can. Now moving forward from that, thank you guys for coming back. I know I had some good stuff last year, and I'm going to continue to do that. My goal for continuing this podcast is the same as it was before. I want to learn how to go from a rookie to a vet and the things that I'm really passionate about. And I want the listeners to get the exact same thing out of it. I hope that I can reach you guys, people that may just not really know what to do next in order to get to where they want to be professionally or in, relationships, really anything. It's all kind of tied together, in my opinion. And I'm trying to figure that out too. So it's kind of a cool journey that we can go on together. And every week I want the listeners, you guys, to take something away, be able to learn a little bit and apply whatever I'm talking about with whatever guest to your situation, whether that's professional, relationship, just personal growth. That's really important. And that's the kind of guest I want to bring on as well. The kind of guest that, people that aren't in my position or don't have my history of networking and all the cool people I've been able to meet over the years, going to the University of Oregon, playing football there, which set me up with a lot of people that are really interesting to talk to, that normal people just don't get the opportunity to hear from or to ask questions to. And I want that experience for you guys, and I want to be able to ask them the questions that you want to know and that you can benefit from. So again, at the end of the video, make sure to like and subscribe and comment and ask and tell me things that you want to know. When I'm going to have a guest on, I'll always make sure to report it early and let everybody know who I'm going to be having on that week or that next episode. And it'll give you the opportunity to say, hey, Tyler, I want to know, how did this CEO of so-and-so company go from an intern at this other company to being CEO of this company? And those are the kind of stories that I want to get. So it's been a long time. I know I've already said this again, but it's been about a year and a half now since I had episode 12 of the Tyler Johnstone podcast, which I think was last April. I'm not sure. But a lot's happened in my life, and it's still inspiring me to continue this whole thing. So I'll let you guys kind of know what I've been up to. So where did we leave off? So during the time that we recorded episode 12 last year, around, I think it was April, I was still rehabbing my broken foot. I was with the Chargers and just on IR and rehabbing. So I finally got better, and kind of what tends to happen is guys in the NFL will tell you, especially if you're an undrafted free agent, who I didn't do too much to prove myself until later on in training camp. But once I was cleared, and in the Chargers' eyes I was healthy and ready to go, they cut me, of course, as it happens. But the issue was none of the other teams saw that I was healthy. I didn't feel ready to go. I hadn't done any drills on the field. I didn't do anything like that. So I was able to settle with the Chargers, and workers' comp in California is incredible. So that helped me out. But basically what I did in between April and training camp of this first season, or this last season rather, 2017, was I trained and I rehabbed. I worked out over at Fitness Quest 10, which is where Darren Sproles, Drew Brees all train, and Todd Durkin and Charleston, De La Cruz were my trainers, and they were amazing guys. I worked my ass off, and we got ready for the summer. Now, in the summer, our lease was up in San Diego, so if you remember, I was living on the beach with my best man and my now fiance, which we got engaged in June, so that's also something new since I last spoke on this podcast, and which that's a crazy story in itself. I went nuts for this engagement. I'm really proud of it. I'll probably tell that story later, but continuing on, I moved back in with my parents, actually, which is probably the most rookie thing that is possible. As a 24-year-old, I'm 25 now, but at the time I was 24, moving back in with my parents. It was pretty humbling, but it wasn't because I didn't want to get a house or anything. It was just because there's no way when you're a free agent to know where you're going to end up. It wouldn't really be responsible to purchase a house. So I moved in with my parents, and I started training in Phoenix at Brett Fisher's Fisher Institute. With Justin Wakefield and Wes Budge being my trainers. They're great guys, and I've been there since August. I had a couple of workouts with teams before the season started. Worked out the Saints, and I worked out with Houston. Both went pretty well, but obviously not well enough to get picked up right then and there. The Saints went with two older guys that have been in the league 3 to 5 years with no track record of injury, so that didn't help my case because I've had 2 ACLs, and I was just coming off a broken foot. So I held out all season, waiting for somebody to call. As the season kind of was coming to a close, I started kind of accepting, okay, this isn't going to be the season for me. I'm not going to be the guy that's getting picked up later on. And this is with training every day. It was just myself and 1 or 2 other free agents at any given time, just trying to work on our craft and get better throughout the season. But again, as the season kind of came to a close, I realized, I was like, okay, so it's going to be at least another 6 months before I get another shot here, depending on what I decide to do. So I decided to get another job. And what you may have gathered if you've listened to any of the first 12 episodes is that I'm horrible at staying stagnant. I was improving obviously physically. I've done nothing but work out. I basically had an off season for the past 2 years. So I was able to work out a ton and get very, very good shape. But I was getting a little almost claustrophobic. There was something, I wasn't gaining something. I wasn't being coached. I had trainers, working out, but I wasn't progressing my skill set and learning anything that could help me in the professional world. So I called up a connection I have through one of my best friends. His dad, Brian McCafferty, owns a dealership out in Avondale, and so a Toyota dealership. So I was like, I want to try my hand. I was pretty much just had a meeting with him and his CEO, CFO, and COO out there in Avondale, and just kind of said, hey guys, so what should I do if you were in my position? If you're a young guy that doesn't have any real professional experience outside of football, that was still trying to go for football, but in the meantime wanted to pick up some skills and pick up some, business type, whatever you call it, just something like a real job, pick up real job skills that I could put on a resume and people be like, okay, that's cool. He did that. Great. And what I found out was really all you need to do is talk to people. And right there on the spot, Brian McCafferty said, hey, I'm not trying to push you into the car business, but if you want to work here in car sales, you'll learn a ton. And you can start next week. And so right then and there, I was like, yeah, absolutely, let's do it. So started a full-time job selling cars. And I learned so much from that. Selling cars is hard, first off. I did 2 weeks of training where I didn't have any interaction with customers. I just learned the product, which Toyota makes great cars. Never knew that before. Toyota's the best. I'm brainwashed. Love Toyotas. I want a 4Runner now. So that was really cool. I loved the experience. I had a lot of fun with it. It was extremely active, and it was hard. I learned so much through my failure there. Like I said, the first 2 weeks was just training. I didn't have to talk to a customer. And my boss, my direct boss, my general sales manager, Alex Casenza, who I played football with in high school. He punched me in the face once. Coach made me beat him on a drill, in some ridiculous drill, and he got mad. He punched me in the face. It's cool. But yeah, he was a senior when I was a sophomore at Hamilton High School. So it was kind of cool being able to work for him because him and I have always gotten along really well. Me and his younger brother are really good friends, and we are in the same class. So I've known him for a long time, and he told me the only way I was going to learn how to sell cars is the way he did. So for the first month after training, I could only try to sell somebody a car in the service department. A month after training ended, I finally sell my first car. It took that long, and it was because of a shortcoming I had as an individual that I never would have seen before if I hadn't worked in car sales. And that was just not asking people for the sale, not asking people for their help. I've always been a pretty proud guy, and I think that's a shortcoming of mine. So I learned a lot. I started to get really good at it. Once I sold my first one, they kind of started coming a lot easier because I started asking for the deal. I started working on it, and it was really cool because I was able to see growth in a side of me that I wasn't able to see before. And it was so different because it's not football. And whereas having a football background gave me an advantage because it helped with customers wanting to talk to me because they wanted to know a little bit about my story and things like that. Other than that, it was just a completely different atmosphere. And so I really enjoyed it. I grew a ton, again, as a person. I learned a whole bunch about work ethic. I worked 6 days a week for anywhere from 8 to 12 hours a day, depending on how the sales were going that day. And it was a grind. And the reason I'm telling you such a long story about my time at Avondale Toyota is because it made me realize first and foremost, and again, the opportunity there was amazing, and there isn't a better dealership to work for, and there isn't a better dealership to buy a car from. But what it taught me first and foremost was I don't want a normal job. I don't. It's not something that I feel like I'm meant to do, if that makes any sense. Now, I think that's the perfect theme for this podcast, though. It's about going from rookie to vet. And how are you going to take the skill set that you have and the passions that you have and grow them into something that you really want to do? And car sales is not what I really want to do, even though I started to be really good at it. Now, the entire time I was working at the dealership, I was still in contact with my agent, Noel. And Noel was in contact with the NFL. He was giving me updates, things like that. And he told me, you know what, man, it's time for you to think about the CFL option, the Canadian Football League. And I told myself when I was younger, a little more naive, a little more proud, CFL is never something I would want to do. And if that's what it came down to, then I'd probably hang him up. But now that I'm older, I'm in a position where I was out of the game a little earlier than I was hoping to be in the NFL standpoint. I wasn't ready to give up football yet. And so we got in contact with the team that owned my rights in the CFL, which was the Calgary Stampeders, which is hilarious because that's where my entire family is from on my dad's side. My dad was born and raised in Calgary. And when I told them that, and I said, hey, funny story, my dad's from Calgary. They said, oh, is he a Canadian citizen? I said, yeah. And they're like, oh, well, we're not going to take you right now as an American because it would ruin your career up here. So now I'm holding out, waiting for my certificate of citizenship to come back so that I can go up to the CFL and play as a Canadian, because you're much more valuable up there if you're a Canadian citizen. So now I'm going to be drafted. Once I figured that this was going to be the plan, going to the CFL, going through the CFL draft, I quit my job in car sales. And they were the coolest about it because they knew the entire time I could be leaving. I could call them at 10 o'clock one morning and be like, hey, I'm not coming to work today because I'm going to the NFL or I'm doing this. So once I found out that the CFL was going to be my path, I quit. And again, they were really cool about it. Or Avondale Toyota was really cool about it. So that was back in about mid-January, and I went back to training full-time. And it's been awesome. I'm in the best shape I've ever been in. And with my free time, though, I've realized I was still a little unfulfilled, a little ready to get this podcast thing back rolling, get something I really want to be doing on the side rolling, and that's why we're here. I've always wanted to start this podcast back up again, and now that I've kind of started to figure out, I said this already, this podcast, but I've been learning how to edit videos and been learning how to edit audio and kind of get it to the quality where it's still not as good as where it would be if I had a professional like Steve Delameter to edit my stuff for me. But now I'm at a place where I want to be with this podcast, and I'm ready to start it up again and give you guys the best content. And this entire year has gone by, and the main thing I want to kind of get across today in this episode is there was a lot of I don't know if you call them failures just because nothing ever really happened, but the fact that nothing happened for me football-wise was a huge hit on my ego. And there was times, late season where I was kind of like, what am I still training for? Why am I still 300 pounds when I should be probably naturally like 255? It's tough for me to carry around that weight, just as a personal preference, But I kept on the weight, and my fiance Ashley, she kept me motivated, and so did my agent Noel, and so did the trainers at Fisher. And it takes a team. And basically what I want to say is there's going to be a lot of things, to put it as plainly as possible. There's going to be so much adversity and things that you want to happen or that you've been told will happen that aren't guarantees, that you believe in or hope for that don't happen for you. And you can't stop just because of that if that's something you're really after. And I'm really after this, for now, really after football. And I really want to make it to some degree in football. I'm not satisfied with where I left off. And along with that, I want to keep growing, and I want to keep reaching out to people and helping other people with their, not necessarily issues, but with their process. I want to help people grow and achieve the dreams that they want to achieve and get that job that they want, or get that position, promotion, or maybe they're working at a bank and really they want to produce videos for a band, you know. I want people to feel like they're able to take that risk and that they're not stuck in whatever position it is that they want to be. They don't want to live that normal lifestyle. I don't want to live that normal lifestyle. So I want to talk to people that are going to give me the information and the things and tools that I need to continue on. And that's what I want to project to you guys, my audience, is you don't have to be satisfied. If you're unhappy, there's ways to change it. And even if it takes a lot of time or years, you know, it can change. And all it takes is, you know, really focusing in and learning what you can and not being discouraged by the failures. So that's why I am most excited to start this podcast up again, because it gives me an opportunity to reach out to successful people that are living their dreams, people that are currently at the top of the field that they're really passionate about. And those are the kinds of guests that I'm going to be bringing on again, just like we did last year. Last year we brought in CEOs, we brought in comedians, we brought in heads of comedic companies, and this year we're going to be doing the same thing. And I'm going to be bringing on professional athletes, CEOs, people that are just really enjoying their life and very fulfilled. And that's what I want to get across. Because all these people went through failures. All these people started somewhere that they didn't want to be, rookies, and ended up veterans, wily vets, leaders in the industry. And their stories are all so similar, yet so different. All of them are very inspiring, and that's what I hope to do. I hope to inspire myself, and in turn, inspire you guys. So as always, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you tuning in to every one of these episodes. And I'm going to continue to bring the content. I'm going to continue to post these conversations on YouTube. But it's important for you guys to follow me on everything so that you get the updates on who I'm going to be having on week to week, who I'm going to be talking to, what I'm going to be talking about. And that way you can go back and see. And if there's something you missed, go back and listen. And you can always pick up something new. It's like a book I just read. I read it. It's by Gary Vaynerchuk. Vaynerchuk? Gary V. All right. If you know him, he's a marketing legend. He wrote a book called Crushing It. He wrote a book in 2009 called Crush It, but I read his 2017 or 2018 book, Crushing It, which is just Crush It, except for it actually has some testimonials of people that took their passions. They had day jobs that they weren't satisfied with. And they took their side hustle, their passions, and made it what they do. And it's all super inspiring. And I've read the book. I'm reading it again right now just because I know there's things I missed. That's what I kind of hope to happen with this podcast is you feel the need to go back, you listen to it again, and there's always something new you can learn. Because that's what it's all about. It's all about learning and then applying what you've learned to get you to where you really want to be. And so, again, I'm really excited. I do want this to become a focus of mine, and it is going to be a focus of mine. That's something I promise you guys. And again, I appreciate you coming back week to week. Make sure to go subscribe and like my YouTube channel. My dog is freaking out right now for no reason. B. That's Bowser. He's a joke, but he's going to be a very positive part of being able to post my videos on YouTube and me being able to do this from home. You'll always get to see Bowser because he can't leave my side. But again, follow me on Twitter at tjohnstone64. Follow me on Instagram at tyjohnstone. And subscribe, like, and YouTube. And then most importantly, if there are questions that you want me to ask or people that you want me to talk to specifically, feel free to reach out and let me know what those questions are, and I'll ask them for you, and I'll do my best in order to bring you the content that you really want to see and hear. So again, thank you so much for listening, and I'm really excited to get this started up again, guys. Thanks again. Take it easy.